I'm connecting. Ah, there she is.
We did it.
We did it. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm so excited. I can't tell you how excited. I wore a special Disney shirt for you today. You ready? Beast mode. This is Jen's shirt right here. Beast mode.
I love it. I love it. This was fitting DVA 2020.
Yes.
Right?
Awesome. So I first of all, I cannot believe let me start by this. For those who are watching this, and for those who saw the video, which I'm sure most of you have seen it, I promise you we did not plan this. This Instagram live about the pull-up was not coordinated with the amazing 40K pull.
No, yeah. I mean, if I could plan that would have been awesome.
Unbelievable. So this is exciting. Congratulations, first of all, because
thank you.
It's truly, it's just, I don't even have words. I watched the video so many times, and I got to be honest, every time I watched it, I teared up a little bit, just because of your response.
Oh my God!
It's incredible. It's incredible.
It was totally, obviously, by my reaction. I don't think you ever expect to get, like, you know, a PR. I don't know. It was just like, it was like, I guess it would be like if I hit the lottery, that's how I'd have reacted. Like, that's how I felt. Like, that's
it's interesting you say that, because you just were training. You were doing what you always do.
Yep.
And
like
that's
training,
yeah.
Yeah. And I had, you know, it was interesting. It's like, kind of like, I just like, let me give it a shot in 2020, see what happens. If it goes, if it moves, like, I was just seeing if it was moving, because I haven't, you know, I work with that bell, but I don't pull it. Like, so yeah. I think the last time I tried to pull it was 6 months ago. But I work with it, hang with it, all that good stuff, and never move it. And then I pulled that 36, and that felt smooth. And I'm like, oh, do I, you know, I'm like walking around, I'm doing, I'm like clubbing it. Like, do I do it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad you tried it.
And I just said, you know what? Let's give it a shot and see what happens. And mind blown that it actually went.
Now,
like,
here's
it
the
finally
thing.
went. Like, quick story. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was 5 years ago in Boston. We're all around the table and we're talking about pull-ups, and we're out to dinner or something. And you know, I'm going, I don't know. And you were like, why don't you go for the 40K? And I'm like, what?
Why
You're
not?
crazy. And you're like, why not? And I'm like, well. And see, that's when it's like the seed gets planted and you're going for it. So what, like, yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of stunned about it. I don't, you know,
Ken says congrats.
Oh, thank you, Ken.
Yeah. So what's crazy is that, for those of you who don't know, like, I just have so much appreciation for what you did, because, and if you don't, you know, I was telling some of my students this morning, like, I have the 40K here. I'm like, go over there and deadlift that bell. just pick it up and get a sense of what that weight feels like. And then imagine pulling that from a dead hang position. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great. And you know, it's exciting. And I think, you know, for people that are watching this, it's not luck. It has been years of hard work, you know, consistent practice. And I just, you know, I didn't go from like, oh, let me just try this out, to getting over with that bell, for sure. So, it's amazing. Like, when you train by yourself, in a garage. And I laugh because a lot of my students today are like, so what'd you do afterwards? I'm like, well, went back to my usual, like, I had to pick somebody up from here, you know, mom stuff. It's, you know,
it's active rest.
Move on.
That's your active rest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I just want to mention this because I know you said this to me, and for everybody's watching, that, if I'm not mistaken, that you said was your 13th pull-up in that session.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That
So
is correct.
that's
why I think I'm a little like mind blown on this thing.
Yeah, that when you said that to me, I couldn't believe it. That's your 13th rep. Now, can you take everybody through, like, so leading up in that session, leading up to that 40K, what was your rep scheme and what weight were you pulling?
All right. So I had, let me see if I can, oh, it's math. Let's see. So it was 222, so 246. So went 20, so warmed up with the 20K for 2. And then I did 2 sets of 24.
Crazy.
So 224, 224, 228. And then I had the 1. So I was like, let's try the 36. 2020 is almost done. Let's see how it's feeling. I haven't tried that in a while. So I did that and it felt good. Like it felt like a 24, you know? So I kind of I'm like, all right. And then I had 3 reps with the 20, I did 20K because I was talking myself, okay, let's do I try the 36 again or try the 40? And we'll see.
Right.
So I, obviously talked myself into the 40 and kind of said whatever goes, goes. Yeah, that was.
And it went.
For 13. I mean, I don't even know. Like it was just, yeah. So it was obviously a good day of training.
It's a great day. So so when you're, what I think it's important to note is that your thought process and as you led up to a PR, which you didn't know that was going to happen. And I really believe that that's when like true PRs really occur that are safe, is that you're not planning for it necessarily. You just you just feel it. To me, that is such a critical part in training, is that, and it goes for anything you're doing, deadlifts, barbells, whatever you're doing.
Right.
When you just feel like things are just clicking, that's when you push it a little bit more. Exactly. And that's what happens. Sometimes you get these results.
And I have to give my programming for this, and I guess I'm not programmed for the 40K. Does that make sense? Like I'm not programmed. So Denzel, Power of Strength, I don't know if he's on here, but hi Denzel. He programs me, and I think people like, you have a coach. I'm like, look, every coach needs a coach to get out of your own way, and that's a big thing. And my program has changed over the years, where I needed kilograms on my program. I needed, what am I doing Monday? Like I need to see the 2 times 24 kilogram, right? So I started working with, so I was getting really tired, mentally fatigued, because if I didn't hit the weights that were on my rep scheme, it would like throw me off. But as life happens, it may be one week, yeah, those numbers are great, but it might be I didn't get any sleep, or stressed out, pandemic. That I wouldn't hit those weights because my body wasn't feeling it. And I started working with Denzel, and he just put like, here's your rep scheme. And I'm like, well, okay, well, where's the numbers? Like, where's the weights? He goes, just feel it. And I'm like, yeah. What? Okay, all right. So it obviously has worked, just kind of becoming, and that's been a couple years of, working on just being in tune to when I'm ready to try it, or kind of playing around with it. So I don't have, like, I have the numbers, but I don't have the weights necessarily with those numbers. It just kind of, I get on the bar and I feel it. And
you know what, I know for a lot of coaches, it's hard to train that way because you need a set, like you said, I need to see this, I need to see, like, mentally need to see it. But I'm telling you, longevity and being healthy, and especially with the loads that you're moving, you have to do it by the week. Right. I mean,
I trained that way, where I was, specific to, like, I need to, like, have a number, like the kilograms, and that almost, I mean, that fatigued me more than anything, is being married to that kilogram and having the actual number, because like I said, you never know how you're going to feel. And allowing yourself, there are some days where like, you know, like just don't have it today. And there are some days you feel like a beast and you go, and yesterday was one of those days. So
awesome.
Today, not so much. I might be announcing my retirement on Instagram Live.
Oh, no, don't say. So Jen's not retiring. Just so you know, everyone.
Retiring today.
Take a step back.
Right.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning. What would you say are some good steps for like a beginner initially trying to get into doing pull-ups?
Sure,
you know, what are some things you suggest?
Yes. So, for those of you, if you're on here, I started pull-ups 9 years ago. And it was just kind of, and I'm 44, so 9 years ago. And so this hasn't been like, I wasn't a pull-up prodigy. I wasn't born to do pull-ups. I had to start from scratch. And I always tell people the story of, you know, I have, you know, the first initial pull-up high school hang story where that's your first introduction to a pull-up. And so that can, like, you know, stick with you for a while. And I remember, I'm never doing a pull-up. And I actually started with, like, you know, I started with kettlebells first. And then down the road, you know, I was like, oh, you know, I can lift some weight. And so pull-ups should be super easy.
Yeah.
So I remember getting on the bar and like not budging. I'm like, what? You know?
Yeah.
So I think it's the first thing, that's what I did. I went from, I'm going to go A to Z and skip all the in between. Okay. Yep. So here's the deal. I've done it all. I've tried to skip it. You can't. So I'm going to, you know, hopefully save some of you some pain and suffering. If you go through A, B, C, D, E to Z, that's what you want to do. So the initial thing, if anybody comes to me or I get DMs like, I want to do pull-ups, I'm like, okay, so let's talk about your plan. Like, do you have a plan? Do you have, are you, you know, do you expect yourself to get right on the bar and do a pull-up? Because listen, it would be awesome if we could just do that and go from A to Z. But there is a lot of work that goes in below the bar to get above the bar. So a lot of times, and you know, it's not for everyone because everyone wants that. Sometimes that program that's gonna, here it is, it'll get you above the bar. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I believe that everybody is unique in their approach to doing a pull-up. So we can all work with the basics, and then you go from there. And having the plan and being prepared to work on the basics, I give people about 6 to 8 weeks. Can they handle the patience of not even touching the bar? All right. So that is a big thing. Can we do a lot of work below with, you know, your basic plank, making sure that you understand what is needed in a pull-up, because I think a lot of times people think it's all the upper body when it is your whole body. And just being in tune. We talk about being in tune to what connections need to be made. I often show people, I don't know if I have with me, like a slinky, okay? I have this, you know, hold on, let me see. It might be over here. So if you don't know me, I was a former teacher, so I always have props. Right, Phil?
You're famous for the props. But they're props that you'll never forget.
No.
You'll never forget them.
Yeah, so I tell people, we kind of look at this, and I kind of show people like how I looked on the bar. Like this was me on a pull-up bar, right? When I didn't know what I was doing. We want to make sure that you are connected. You want to be connected from the start. Okay. So we kind of take that visual of how do you do that? Because I can't hear you on the bar and everything is it feels vulnerable. I feel a lot of times and I did too, I went through this, I felt very vulnerable on the bar because I didn't know what I was supposed to be squeezing, tightening, connecting. And so I recommend that everybody go through the process of, you know, do you know how to squeeze your glutes? Do you know where your lats are? How to engage them?
Yep.
Breathing, all that stuff. So we start with, you know, planks, grip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huge.
Grip, you know, kettlebells, walking, you know, doing carries. And if you don't have carries, learning just to squeeze a tennis ball, or, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy all the time. You can squeeze a tennis ball, squeeze other stuff. But working on the grip is a big deal. And a lot of times, you know, I kind of work with people where we've connected everything, but the grip isn't there yet. So you have to kind of work on that because it does take a lot of work to just hang there. Right?
Yeah, I was going to ask you what assistance exercises go along with helping to pull up. I would think that obviously the grip is a huge factor in that.
Right.
So farmer carries, what other things would you do?
Farmer's carries. So if your kettlebells, like bottoms up stuff as well, we will do. Now, I get a lot of times like, what do you do? Even deadlifts are important for pull-ups. That's my opinion. Working on deadlift patterns, working on the grip, that helps you connect the body as well. So, because people are like, do you just do pull-ups? And I'm like, no. I do, you know, pull-ups, but I also do deadlifts, front squats, the basics. You know, it's, you know, I call it, it's, you know, the boring is best.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, single arm planks, working the cross body connection. So anybody that wants to do that. Now, we work a lot with, you know, some, you know, just like dowels. We work like gripping a dowel, learning how to grip that, learning how to keep your chin connected, looking forward. So there's a lot of details that go in to, and I don't think people, and it's not, because I didn't know either until I went through the process, and I take others through the process of the details that go on below. And it will make it easier when you do approach the bar. You won't feel as vulnerable. You'll feel connected. And then you can start working on the dead hangs. Moving as one unit. Because it really, and I look at it too, it's a moving plank. So we do that. We do a lot of work with the yoga block. Squeezing, you know, just figuring it out, because I think a lot of times I'll see people on the pull-up bar and I can detect, like, okay, they're losing their tension. We talk about from the feet up. They're starting to lose it from the bottom. And if we can get you to understand like that connection from the toes to the head, then the pull-up will be a lot smoother. Well, you'll feel confident in getting over the bar.
What you see, I think, typically is in the pull-up when it gets difficult, the first thing that happens is people move their legs like they're doing this, like they're trying to climb a wall, but you're not going anywhere.
And it's interesting. It is a total, like, it's like I'm hanging off a cliff, I call it, you know? And that's like totally normal and I see that a lot. You know, I see kids when they get on the bar, they're like, you know, flying around. But like the kicking of the legs is actually obviously losing that tension, making it harder, and then you're relying on just the upper half of your body. So really, really just honing in on the details of the pull-up and just working all the stuff below it to just learn, you know, connect your body, and that's what it's all about. And you know, it's a journey. It's a, you know, long process. You know, there are people that are gifted and can just get up there and go. And you know, I was not one of them. So you know, and even if you are gifted, I always say there's always something to work on. Finding different pieces of where can I stay tight, because
for sure,
you know, you don't want to have you know, any loss of tension is going to make it harder to get over the bar.
And I think what's important to note, those of everybody who's watching this, is what Jen was saying was she doesn't spend the majority of the time doing a lot of volume in pull-ups. Just like I brought this up, I brought it up the other day when we were doing the other Instagram live, relating the push press to the press, where, you know, the saying is, oh, if you want to press, get better at pressing, you got to press a lot. You want to get better at pull-ups, you got to do pull-ups. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think some people have, you know, favor high volume, but I think what happens is a lot of people get injured because they just don't know how to manage that amount of load. So spread it out. And so in a typical week, roughly, you don't have to be exact, but in a typical week, what's your volume like, would you say?
So 5 times 2, I usually have about anywhere from 35 to 45 pull-ups. Okay. So I actually used to do a lot more. You know, when you first start, you have to kind of, you know, you'll start to do, if you like, you're building a base. You have to, like, all your tissues, joints have to get used to moving your body weight, or with a kettlebell or whatever, a weighted vest or whatever. Yeah. And because that's where I see a lot of people get injured, is they overdo it because they think they need to do more pull-ups to get better. Where, you know, you have to give your body time to, you know, understand the patterns, your connective tissue. I mean, you know, people with, like, my elbows hurt. And so, you know, a lot of people are pulling like this versus like using that. So, just to check, and I don't mean this, just to check the box on, I got this many pull-ups for the volume. Yeah. Whereas, you know, I look at it as it's all about your technique. So if you can do one good pull-up, you know, 5 days a week, versus, like, you know, 10 where you're kind of doing them and you may get over, or you're gonna, you know, just get halfway. Own it. Own that one good pull-up. And I'll hear, well, I only can do one pull-up. I'm like, well, good for you, because one good pull-up with great technique is worth, you know, more than 100. Yeah. So yeah. Your post that you did recently with the yoga block in between the legs. Yeah. That if some of you have not seen that, check that out. It's on your page, right? Yes. It's really, really, really good, and it's simple. Well, it's not simple to execute, I should say, but it's simple to use. You don't have to think too much about it. You just squeeze that block. Right. And you'd be surprised what you feel. Even for those people who have done, you know, who are used to doing a lot of pull-ups, I felt the difference right away. Right. Yeah. When I did it just reminds you of what, you know, having that yoga block in there, it reminds you of exactly, like, what needs to be tight. And it translates over to the weighted pull-ups too. Yeah. Because I've trained my mind to go, okay, it's the yoga blocks in there. So if you haven't seen it, I think it's called Worth the Squeeze on my page. Awesome. Yeah, it's a simple thing. Now, here's the other interesting thing, and I always was impressed by, we're going to talk about setup, because you have a very unique way of going about getting to position, which is really cool. You know, like what you do with your hand, and you talked about this a little bit more earlier in another post. But when so for those students who have never used the belt, okay, I know it's very specific on how that feels, how low the bell is. Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah, yeah. Like, so, you know, the belt, the belt basically, like, you know, so if you're using the belt, you have to, so I could do this in my sleep because I practice it, you know, all the time, like every time I set up. Now, some people like it to have the bell where it's a little bit lower on the position. Some people like it higher on the pelvic region. Some people have it behind them. And everyone's like, what is the right way? And I'm like, it's whatever what's the right way for you? Where can you keep the tension? Where can you stay tense? All right, so it varies for everybody. And the number of times that I wrap it depends on the bell size too. So it'll change up, you know, if I might have 3 loops around versus 4 versus 2. So
Right.
it really does do it. Now, when I first got this thing, it was, again, I couldn't get out of my own way. I was like putting it on and like figuring it out, and how does it loop around the bell, and
Yeah.
It takes a while, and to get used to it. But this is the belt that I've had since the beginning.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely, and sometimes I get stuck in it because it's a little bit old, but we get out of it. But it definitely, working on that setup and where the bell placement is, because again, you don't want to waste any energy. All of your energy needs to be when you execute the pull-up.
Yep.
And I remember when I first got it, I was super excited. The bell was like flying off me because I couldn't figure out, because I didn't take the time to work on the setup, right?
Yeah.
So then I lost all, control, all the stuff that I taught myself in the body weight, all of a sudden went out the window when I put the belt on. So my suggestion to everybody, when you do, like, let's say you're ready to transfer from body weight to weighted. I think I had a question on that.
Yes.
From somebody on yesterday. So I get that question a lot. When are you ready to transfer? Like, there is no magic number, but I do recommend when you can do at least 8 to 10 solid pull-ups with perfect technique, then you transfer to body weight. To weighted pull-ups, because you need to have that same technique. It's, nothing changes with the weighted, because then, all of a sudden if you're weighted and you're kind of wiggling around, and you just lost that whole patterning that you needed.
I'm glad you said 8 to 10, because to me, when you first said that, that was high. But yeah. It really, there's a big difference between doing 1 to 5 and 8 to 10.
Right.
If you can get past that 8, if you get past that 5 and you're hitting 8 to 10 consistent pull-ups, that's a good number.
Yeah.
That's a really good number.
I suggest 8 to 10. Again, you may say, well, I think I'm 7. Great. Like, whatever works for you. And, and it also depends on, the load that you start putting on, because, you're 8 to 10, and you have to decide, like, okay, if I'm starting with 3 pounds, 8 pounds, and get to that. And I can tell you, when I transferred to the weighted, I had to go back to body weight for a while. Yeah. Because I literally, like, it was like a foreign object on me. Because I didn't spend the time, and I do this, well, religiously when I switch bell sizes. I will wrap it and I'll just stand there with it. I'll stand there with it. I'll be under the bar with it, but I won't be touching the bar, because I have to become familiar with this foreign object on my body. Like, what is this, that's
good advice.
Yeah, with the 40K, I could, like, barely lift it onto the step for a while. So could you imagine if I'm trying to fiddle around with the 40K?
No.
It's not going to fly. So years of constant, I'm going to put this bell on me and get rid of the anxiety of it. Because I'll tell you what, when you put a kettlebell on and that you haven't worked with, it's like you start again. I start again every time. I'm like, okay, I call it dating the bell. Like, I get it. All right, new relationship here, right? So I have to, like, get out of my own way. And so I'll my husband will walk in. I'm like here with the kettlebell, just standing. I'm like, what's up? He's like, oh, you're dating again.
He understands the relationship.
He understands. So, so just, you have to get out of your own way with with having a new, a weight hanging there, because could you imagine if you're nervous about the weight, you're nervous about getting on the step, if you don't practice the setup and routine? Yeah. I don't, like, and if you watch the video of me and it's funny, I don't look at it until like I see it afterwards. I'm like, that setup is the same setup I do.
It is.
Body weight to 40K.
Yes, that is
all the time.
Crucial for every single person out there.
Yep.
And I've said this so many times when it comes to barbell deadlifts or whatever the case may be. Get in your own routine.
Yep.
On that setup. And that's such a great point. And I've watched you for so many years do that, and it is exactly the same. Yeah. And the best lifters, those lifters out there, no matter what they're doing, Olympic lifting, or they all have a very similar setup. They have their own unique setup, but it's very consistent. It doesn't change based on the weight. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, and it's something I can control. Like there may be my body might be tired, my manual will do that, but every time I know I can control the setup. Yeah. So regardless if it's my body weight or the heaviest, a heavier bell, I did not have to think about it. It's just like, we brush our teeth every night. We brush our teeth every morning, and that's just like brushing your teeth. It's like, get that in the groove. And some people don't have the patience for it, and it's okay if it's, but if you just get used to it, it just becomes habit. Like, so now that habit is something that, I don't even blink an eye at, so I can put all my energy into.
Exactly. So if anybody has any questions, ask. This is your opportunity. Don't be shy.
Right.
So let's go back to the setup. I can see the bar behind you. So is there any way for you, without a bell, just to go through your setup?
I don't even get a day off.
No. This is, hey, you're not using a belt. You're not using a bell. Just,
I don't even get a day off. I'm retired.
You're not retired. So here's the thing, and maybe I'm taking this a little bit overboard, but I really respect, I really respect the process. I mean, I love the idea of not only so much the actual accomplishment. I just like to see that what builds up to it. That to me is huge.
Yeah, no, you can. And I just have to throw this in here because, over the years, like I've added things that, to my setup, whatever. And I had a hard time, I used to train with, and Sarah, she talked about this on her thing about pump up music and getting ready and all that. And I've actually, that's cut out of my brain now. So I don't listen to any music to pump myself up anymore, because that actually revs me up too much, and then I'm like anxious. So I am in silence when I do pull-ups now, for the most part. Like if I'm going for a big PR, it's in there. Also, Indian clubs have become part of my, if you're not sure, if you're on this, these guys.
Indian clubs.
Just a quick, I know, I'm like going off, but this is actually part of now my setup. So in the last year, I started with these last year, and Phil, thank you. This has finally been the thing that has calmed my head down.
That's so awesome. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yes. So it is
very cool.
I always had a hard time. Like I've tried yoga, but I can't, it's like almost like I need something in my hands. Yeah. To calm my nerves.
Yeah. I get it. Believe me. Yep.
All right. When I remember last March, after everything kind of shut down, this was my therapy. All right. So shout out for Indian clubs. So those are part of my working with these prior to getting on the bar now. So that was the latest addition to my toolbox for my setup. So I'll put those down, and can you see, are you gonna be able to see?
I can see the bar. I can see the bar right there. So yeah, there you go. And I know a lot of people have seen videos of Jen doing pulls, but I just really respect the process, what goes into the setup, and I just think that all of us can learn from that. whether you're doing pull-ups, barbell deadlifts, Olympic pulls, power cleans, doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, so.
And you don't have to pull any weight, Jen. I just want to see that the process of you going about, you know, what you do with your hand on the bar. I just think all those little details are important.
Cool. Now I can pull something today. I'm good.
Oh boy.
Now here, like when I'm not pulling the 40, but when you do the process so much, like, you know, like I'm not. Everyone's like, "Are you sore today?" I'm like, I'm just a little bit more tired than usual because I don't think it's from the pull up. I think it's from my adrenaline. Like my adrenaline was like, I mean, I dropped like, oh my God, like 50 times yesterday. All right, let me grab a bell, and then I'll be right back. Let me grab it.
You got it. So we're getting now a pretty cool tutorial here on the setup, and I'm sorry, somebody said I love the hand grip tutorial the other week. Is that Shannon? I think that's Shannon.
What's she asked?
They were saying I love the hand grip tutorial the other week.
Oh, thank you,
yeah,
thank
very
you.
good.
Yeah, the like getting a good deep grip there.
That's so important.
So here I go. I can talk a little bit, but when I'm in the zone, you know. So I always stand here. I'm so like, this is exactly where I stand. I pull this out right here, right? So I come through. On. Do a couple deep breaths here. And what I'm doing in this process is I'm visualizing what's going to happen. So I just kind of talk my way through it in my head, breathing, calming myself down because I need to just make sure that I'm ready to pull that and not in
right.
Okay. Can you see the bell? Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I step through, give it a shake out. I always put my right hand on the bell. All right. Give it a little. This is a 24K.
Oh, it's just a 24.
Yeah.
Just the demo bell.
Yep. Right leg comes on. Jeez. Pull that through. This is a 3-looper.
Okay. Don't hate me for having you do this.
Getting the grip warmed up.
Wow. Okay, so that was so for everybody who's just getting on, that was a triple with a 24, which is by no means an easy thing to execute. But I just think you know, just the fact of that process that you go about when you place your hand on the bar and you're moving it back and forth. Can you explain like what's going on there?
So I actually, and this is you guys will. I don't even know. I zone. Like, so when I'm on there, I know, and this is practice, because I don't know if you saw me, like, I'm taking deep breaths. Before I even touch that bar, I'm like ready to go. Once my hand hits, I'm kind of activating all the stuff I need. So all your entire hand, right?
Yeah.
Getting that grip. This
awesome.
is kind of just saying, wake up, let's go.
Yep.
Grip hard, activating the bicep trap, trap, lat,
mm-hmm.
all that. Okay. And then I just like, I don't even see what's going on. Like I don't even hear anything going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am laser focused.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not like I can't do this. Oh my gosh. So it's all, and that takes, that takes practice. I'm telling you what,
Yeah.
I've been through it. I mean, self-doubt. I like 40K. I was like, no way I can do that. All right. And it takes a while to change that talk in your head, your mindset. Right.
Yep.
And being, all right, I'm going to do this. I got this. Because if I go into it going, I don't know if I can pull this. I don't know. Right. Like even now, like, okay, I thought about it and I was like, stop, I can do this. I will pull this. And if it doesn't go, all right, whatever. But I'm training my brain to just do it, like,
right.
go. And if I don't, I'm moving on. So,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, now can I
the
retire?
pull-up, I mean, that was so, by the way, everybody saw where that bar was. It's all and the 40K too, which was crazy, was that when you pulled that, I think you were about right here, and I think you said, you actually talked. I think you said, oh my God. No, this is what's crazy about this. You actually talked where you were at 90% there, and then you continue to pull, which is just blows my mind.
Right. I can't even believe I said, oh my God. Because I was so shocked that I was actually.
Yeah.
I was
that's
like,
so
I think
cool.
I'm above, but I'm going to make sure. Like, I was like, I'm not like messing around with this.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing too. I think we talk a lot about, and that took a lot of training, because a lot of times when you get, this is a question I had. A lot of times you're here and it's like, you want to like, you got to bring your chin in, not chicken, but I think about drawing it right down to my heart, right?
I love it. Yep.
Yeah, but I was like, and I'm very particular about my pull-ups, and if I owned it or not, I go through is it, whatever, and I was gonna own that because.
Well, you did. And for everybody out there, because you're gonna get people. This is social media. You're gonna get people. Oh, that was good, but you only got to the chin. I mean, it's it's kind of. I love the fact that you got there and then you just went nope.
No.
There you go.
Because I've gotten that, or like.
That's good.
And it's interesting. And you know what we talk about weighing strong, and you'll get the people like, oh, well, she's tiny, or oh, well, you know what? No, it's called everybody can do this. It's just you got a mindset, patience, persistence.
Yeah.
Like, if this is something that you want to do, just like anything. I mean, this it's a pull up, but it relates to everything that we do.
And I don't, there's always been this this fear of the pull-up for so many people. And I'm talking the general population. When you get students in there, usually they're like, well, I want to be able to do a pull-up, or I want to be able to do 5 push-ups, or whatever the case may be. And it's such it's like, and I don't know if this happened when, because in school, when growing up and you had to do that hang, people had so much fear, of that bar. And it's like, the fear sets in when you're a kid. And
I remember I was like, I'm never doing a pull-up. It's like you're in front of a large group of people and you're vulnerable and you're hanging there. No wonder why everybody has the attitude of I can't, or I won't, or I don't want to.
Right.
I tell you what, it's like anytime somebody wants to work with me with pull-ups, I'm like, what is your pull-up? And it's 9 times out of 10, it's I was embarrassed in high school on the high school hang, and trying to, it's like incredible. And that's kind of like you're throwing somebody in a bar that doesn't know how to do it or hang. And then you have that negative association with it. Just like
exactly.
I did. And it's so awesome. Like I'm seeing a lot of people come out of their, like the woodwork of, I want to try a pull up. And I just recently got somebody who said, I would like to do a pull up, but I want to just be strong in the process. And that is the key. If anything, like if you want to do a pull-up, want to do a one-arm push-up, it's being okay, like I'm going to get stronger in the process of this. And kind of like, I hope I get it, great. But I'm going to build the strength. I'm going to go ahead and do it right. Right. So
that's so important. That's so important.
It is. And another question I got was like, everyone's like, do you ever get sick of the pull-ups? Listen, I'm human. There are days I'm like, you know, why am I doing this? Like, why, you know, and then I step back and I'm like, I actually really enjoy the process of like seeing how, you know, where my strength takes me. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. I used to be married to the numbers of like having to get the 24, having to, you know, perform it. And now it's more like, this is kind of fun. Like, let's see, you know, let's see where it takes me. And that's, you know, if you're not like, I'm enjoying it. And there are days that, you know, there's sometimes that I'll take, if I find myself kind of slumping in my training, I, you know, take a week, and absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I come back and ready to go. So you're listening to your body. Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people have a hard time doing that because they feel like they just need to keep going.
Right.
But, you know, somebody really super smart said to me once that your strength is like a journey. It's like a ramp, you know, and you go up that ramp at different speeds. And sometimes you take a step back. Sometimes you take a step to the side.
Yeah.
It's not that you're going back down the ramp. You're just taking a break, you know, but if you're making some incremental progress, be happy with that because, you know,
It's true, because I think for years too, I used to like feel like I had to do pull-ups like every day and get better at pull-ups, and constantly weighted, and I was fried. I mean, just constantly fried. And, you know, I take a complete rest day, you know, today, I guess I threw a couple pull-ups in. Those are, of
course, Phil it in, let you rest.
But usually I'll take a complete rest day, go for a walk, and just kind of clear the mind. And it really has been, I am training less than I ever have. I know that's like
that's awesome.
I know. It's like, I am training less than I ever have. And I'm not faulting like my training. You know, I've built, you know, I've pretty good foundation. So I can take the time off and come back because my body recognizes it, you know. But I used to always think, and I think I have to do more. And then when I kind of, like, Denzel was helping me get out of my own way with that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing less, but the quality of work is so much better. So it's definitely been a learning process for me on that.
Awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
So for one more question, do you for those students out there that are experienced, let's say they've done weighted pull-ups, they're working through their weights, is there anything that you would you know, any advice you would give for the opposite end, where you have somebody's more advanced and they're, you know, I don't know, they're pulling consistently, whatever that may be for them. Any advice for those particular students out there?
Sure. And I think I just kind of maybe hit the nail on the head prior to, is start playing around with, you know, if you're stuck on a bell that you want to increase, maybe adding a little bit more volume. So if like you're stuck trying to get to the 24, stop pulling the 24. I think a lot of times, and I've done this, so the bell that I want. So could you imagine if I tried to pull the 40K like every week? I mean,
no. You'd probably get injured.
I would get injured. My mental state would be crazy. And because I've done that before. I've tried to keep pulling and keep pulling and keep pulling. And like, I can't pull this bell. Well, strip it back, go back to like 14K, 16K, do those really well, maybe like 3 to 5 reps. All right, get a little like a little bit of volume. So you have to find your balance of volume. Some people react well to more volume, some people don't. So you have to kind of play around with what works for you. But if you constantly hammer the bell that you're trying to get, it's you. And I honestly, like, I would constantly hammer when I was going for the 32, I was trying to pull that like every time in my training. Not happening.
No.
It only led to frustration.
Yep.
10 times over. So don't do what I did.
Good advice.
And I think when you get to the level of the weighted pull-ups, and you're like, I've hit the 24, I've hit a 28, I've hit a 30, and you go back to working with the lighter weights, you think it's like copping out or a failure or whatever. It's not. It's actually going to get you stronger. Working with those bells, because you're constantly in that heavy mode. You know, it's not going to go well. You will get burnt out with the pull-ups.
That's really good advice. And that goes for pressing, by the way.
Right.
That goes for military presses. That goes for deadlifts. All of those. That's really good advice.
Yeah, it's just it's hard because I think I always say to myself, I'm like, man, why did I do that? But you don't know until you go through it. You don't know until, you know, you've learned the lesson of, you know, your body kind of feeling tired all the time and this, that, and the other thing. And you'll find the volume. It's hard because when you really want something, you're like, let me just see if I have it this week. Let me just see. And then it becomes then you turn your, I can do this to like, I can't do this. And I'm going to give up and all this stuff. So that's where all that creeps in when you are trying to hammer it all the time. So take some
That's
rest.
awesome, Jen.
I
feel bad that I made you do the 3 pulls with the 24 just now, but that's it's so impressive that you just did a casual 3
That's okay.
3
it's
pulls
good,
with the 24.
You know, it's funny. I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to do pull-ups for a while. So I'm back. I'm out of retirement.
She's not retiring.
No,
for all of you out there.
So it's exciting and
congratulations.
Thank you. And like I said, it's totally, you know, it's a journey, and I seriously, everyone that's joined, everyone that has, you know, it's unbelievable the amount of support you get from the people. We talk about lifting each other up and being an awesome community. Deviate, obviously, our family, and everyone that's on here has just been like the cheerleaders from the start, and I appreciate it. So
surrounding yourself with like-minded people is a very strong force.
It is. Right? So it's awesome.
So for those of you who want to you know, practice the pull-up, maybe need some more coaching on the pull-up, Jen is not retiring. So how do they get in touch with you specifically on if they want to do, you know, get it more into those?
Well, definitely shoot me a DM on here, or you can email me at jentrains, JENTRAINS @gmail.com. Also coming soon, I'm going to be introducing a program. Now, it's coming. Working on a little app piece right now. It's going to be called Journey with Jen. And it's kind of working below the bar to get above the bar. It can be done for anybody if you're looking for anybody coaches, if you're new to the pull-up, if you're seasoned with the pull-up. So we're going to give it a try and see how it goes.
That sounds exciting.
It is exciting, nerve-wracking at the same time, but you know, if you know me, I promise you some good stuff and visuals and all that stuff to help you out in any way I can. So that
is so good. So I just want to say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
And what a way to end 2020.
2020. Can't wait for 2021 shirts.
Me either. What a way to end it. So I really appreciate you. I respect you, and I'm just I'm happy for you.
No, thank you. I
Such an amazing person.
I mean, you've been with me for a while, so you know this this whole journey in and out, and it's exciting, and yeah. So I was super pumped, and having a PR when you don't even expect it is the best thing. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'll take it. 2020 wins.
Yes, that is definitely a win.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for all of for everybody who has joined, and you know, we talked about a lot of good things that you'll get out of this conversation. So Jen, thanks for your time, and again, Happy New Year, and I appreciate everyone. Thanks for joining.
Happy New Year, guys. Thank you so much for joining, taking time to hang out with Phil and I.
It was a good conversation.
It was. All right.
All right,
Bye,
take
guys.
care. See ya.